What's up, comic book community? Joe here, bringing you another episode of 360 Comics. After a few-week hiatus from YouTube, I have been so busy, so thank you for bearing with me during this time. I haven't put out a full-length video in a while, but I'm here for it today because I waited months to pick this collection up. I saw it a few months ago. I made an offer, and it's got a little story behind it and a little bit of a lesson to be learned, so stay tuned for all that and the 25 best books, and of course, we're saving the best for last. As of right now, we are less than 50 subscribers away from our goal of 300, at which point we'll be giving away this book right here, The Incredible Hulk, number 449, the first appearance of the Thunderbolts. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up for a like, and leave a comment down below. And you can check out our older videos, like them, and leave comments on them for additional entries. Also, head on over to Instagram. If you don't follow me there, you want to do so because this book right here is the giveaway once we hit 9,000 followers there. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, number 1, the first appearance of Firestar. And I think we're less than 50. Actually, I think we're less than 40 away from hitting that goal. So definitely go over and do that, and good luck. So a quick little backstory before we dive into the books in this collection. What happened was a couple months ago, I had my signs out for Backdeck Comic Fest advertising that event. And one of my neighbors actually had seen them and gotten in contact with me to let me know that he had some comic books that he's had since the 80s and early 90s that he was thinking about getting rid of. He wasn't 100% sure, but he wanted me to come over and take a look at them. I went over and there was some solid stuff in there, which, you know, you'll see a lot of the popular runs, almost entirely Marvel, with just a little bit of DC sprinkled in there. And there were some bigger keys that you'll see in just a second. And I made what I thought was a fair offer. And he kind of like shook his head like, no way I'm going to let it go for that little. And, you know, I came up a little bit and, you know, I ended up offering $1,000. And he was very passionate about this collection. This was like meant a lot to him personally. And he was not ready to get rid of it for that price, which, like I said, what I thought was a pretty fair offer, definitely more than he would have gotten at a comic shop or something like that. And he told me he was looking for $10,000. And if you remember, I just said that I would have paid $1,000. I knew we were way off. I knew we weren't going to come to a price. These meant way too much to him sentimentally, and he just was not ready to let go of them. So he was only doing it if he could get a crazy amount of money. So I told him, hey, give me a call if you change your mind. Give me a call if you have any questions about it. He told me he was thinking about selling on eBay, and I said, okay, let me help you with packaging and stuff. And, you know, I do that free of charge. I can teach you how to do it, rather. And, you know, we kept a good relationship. I had actually reached out about a month ago, which was about a month after I spoke with him, and asked him, hey, did you get any offers? And he said he got a couple offers, but he wasn't happy with them. And he actually was thinking about asking more at that point. Originally, he said $10,000, and he told me that he was thinking about asking for $17,000. I have no idea where he got these numbers from, but, you know, high end of retail for these books is not $17,000. So not even $10,000. So anyway, you know, time went on. I told him, hey, you know, give me a call. Just like I said before, if you want anything, you know, if you want any help, you need some advice, whatever. Well, I got a call eventually, and I thought he was going to be asking me, you know, about shipping comics or something like that. And he said, hey, you know what? I need the money. Come on over. Let's talk. I'm thinking about coming down on my price. I'm thinking about taking $3,000. So he was up at 10 and I was at 1,000. And now he's offering $3,000, which made me think, okay, you know, maybe we're in the same realm of reality here. $3,000 definitely was a little bit too much still. So we chatted more, you know, when I got there. I went through, and I was expecting all the bigger keys, which you're going to see in a second, to be gone. I thought maybe he sold the stuff off and he was kind of just trying to get through the rest of it. They were all still there, you know, and he told me that, which, you know, I'm glad he was honest about that, because I have gone back before to look at a collection a second time and stuff was missing, and it's always the good books that are missing, you know? So watch out for that if someone wants to reconnect on a collection. Yeah, he told me that he had some expenses come up in life. He didn't want to let this stuff go, but he really needed to at this point. And I looked through, and I told him, I said, you know, I offered you $1,000 last time. That's honestly where I'd want to be. but since I'm here, let's bump it up $1,200. Maybe that would, be enough of an incentive. And he said, man, I can't do it. Like I really wanted to be firm at 3,000. And I said to him, all right, man, well, I know we've done this once already before, but I'm going to have to walk away because 3,000 is just too much. It is, maybe I get a little bit more than 3,000 after like all is said and done with the retail side of things, pricing, bagging, boarding, all that stuff. I thought maybe I get there, a little bit more than 3,000, maybe 3,500, maybe 4,000 on the high side, maybe. And that's if I sell like, every book, every run, every mini series, because it was about 6 long boxes of stuff. It was a decent amount of stuff, well over 1,000 books. But, you're never going to do that. You're never going to sell every single thing. You're going to have to bulk some stuff off. You're going to have to knock some prices down to get it sold. So, I told him, I can't be at 3,000. And he said, all right, you're 1,200. How about this? You seem firm there. And I was ready to walk away at 12. He said, if you can do 15 today, you've got it. You'll make my day. I can use this money for the things going on in my family. And I said, all right, man, let's do it. You called me back. You called me and had me over initially. We've talked a couple times. Let's just get this done. I'll pay a little bit higher than I think I should have for these books. But at the same time, I know I'm helping you out. Now, again, a lot of this stuff was early 90s, which is pretty bulky. There are some keys in there, but there were some good runs. Let's get into the keys and talk about that. First off with this book right here. This one is probably the lowest value of the books that I'm going to show you today, but it is one of my favorite covers of all time. Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, number 101, with this just absolutely breathtaking John Byrne negative space cover. This is definitely one of the covers during this era that came first as far as the negative space. John Byrne did a couple of them. There's a Spider-Woman one as well. There's a one for Amazing Spider-Man. So look out for those. A lot of people have started collecting negative space covers in the recent years as variants have been coming out utilizing that technique. But this is really the one that kind of at least that I know of, that kind of sparked that in superhero comic books. If there's an earlier example, let me know, but that's definitely one of my favorite ones. Moving on to some other Spidey-related things, we got Secret Wars number 8. Great book. You all know what it is. Origin of the Black Suit. Classic cover, amazing run from the 1980s. Really the start of the Copper Age. Most people will consider it that. And yeah, nothing more to say about that. You know what it is. It's in most 80s collections, and I'm happy to have it. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man 298. This is the first Todd McFarlane on Amazing Spider-Man. It's also the first cameo appearance of Eddie Brock, who becomes Venom. It's a classic. It's not McFarlane's like greatest cover, but it is his first one on ASM. And for that reason, it's very collectible. It also does start the Venom saga here with Eddie Brock. And speaking, these are out of order. Oopsies. We're not going to that one next. We're going to this one next, the very next issue, Amazing Spider-Man 299. This is the first full appearance of Eddie Brock, the first cameo appearance of Venom, and of course the second Todd McFarlane on ASM. Again, a great book, not one of Todd's best covers, but an early one, and leading up to the big reveal in issue 300. Unfortunately, a lot of the ASM books had some issues condition-wise on them, so they're not like super high grade 9/8 contenders or anything like that. A lot of them are mid-grade or mid to high grade, but they're all going to be available for sale actually tonight. If you're watching this on Friday, tonight on my Instagram at 8 p.m. Skipping an issue to 301, you'll see why later. Amazing Spider-Man number 301, that Todd McFarlane homaging himself, the first, cover reappearance of the classic Spider-Man suit. And, very collectible book. This is a newsstand, too, which, again, tough to get in a high grade for a newsstand, but it is unfortunately, condition wise, not the greatest. This guy definitely loves Spider-Man a lot, so he read these books. And there may be some staining on the bottom of this book as well. You probably can't see it in the picture because it's pretty light, but I'm not sure if these books were in a moisture-rich environment at some point, but yeah. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man number 315 is next. This is the first cover appearance of Venom. I call it the first cameo cover appearance of Venom. He's right up here, just his head, little tiny cameo cover appearance, if you will. But what really gets people going is this next book. This is the first full cover appearance of Venom. A lot of people will call this Venom's first cover appearance. And this is one of the best Todd McFarlane pieces of art on Amazing Spider-Man. This book has, really, really exceeded expectations as far as this would have been the third full appearance of Venom. And fourth appearance overall, so it's not like it's not like first or second, but that first cover and like him being on the whole cover, people love it, especially because it's McFarlane. McFarlane. Then we're skipping up a while. There was a bunch of McFarlane and Larson books, and those are great books, but we're only showing off the 25 best of them. This is Amazing Spider-Man 361. This is the first appearance of Carnage. It's got this great Mark Bagley cover, and this book, pretty much at least one copy in every collection from the 90s that has Spider-Man. You know what it is. It's despite it being extremely common, it is still a pricey book because this character is so popular, even after that movie that came out a few years ago. Then we're moving on to some other Marvel stuff. Avengers number, 257? 257. This is the first appearance of Nebula. I think this is a really undervalued book, in my opinion. This copy is a newsstand copy, and it's a decent condition. It's not super high grade, not a 9.8 contender, but a solid book nonetheless. And then we've got some Punisher. This is Punisher number 1 from the limited series. This is the first ever solo Punisher book, even before his first ongoing. And it's got this absolutely killer Mike Zeck art on the cover. One of, if not, Mike Zeck's absolute best work. I just love this cover. It's been homaged a bunch of times. And, when I think The Punisher, I think this classic 5-issue limited series. And by the way, the entire 5-issue limited series was in this collection. Moving on to some mutant-related stuff here, we got New Mutants Annual number 2. This is the first appearance in American comics of Psylocke. Previously was in UK comics, but first time in American comics. And this is kind of the go-to key for the Psylocke character. And will she show up in the MCU? I think so. I think she's popular enough of a character that we're going to see her. More New Mutants. We got issue number 87. This is definitely one of the books that you look for in this run. The first appearance of Cable with this killer Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld art. I have to think that Todd McFarlane drew Cable's face in this picture. I have to think that. If you just compare the work, I have to think that he was responsible for drawing Cable's face. But anyway, that's besides the point. This is the first printing with that orange background instead of the second printing that it has a gold background. Big price difference between the two. This one is much better to have. Stoked about that. Then we got some X Factor keys here. We got X Factor number 6, the first appearance of Apocalypse, right front and center. This book went up like crazy when that movie was coming out, but has gone down since because that movie was not great. And honestly, it's a really affordable key for such a major big bad. The first cameo was in there too, and the second appearance and all that stuff. So that stuff's all going to be available in a claim sale sometime soon. Moving on to X Factor number 24, the first appearance of Archangel. I think we will probably see this character show up at some point in the MCU. I think they're really going to play on those like 90s characters, and Angel was turned into Archangel in the animated series, so that will likely continue. Whether in continuing the animated series, but also like in the MCU, I think they'll use this character. The only X-Men book that I pulled out. There were only a handful of Uncanny X-Men and X-Men, the Jim Lee X-Men run. in this collection. Not a ton, and this was the only one that I would consider a bigger key. This is X-Men Annual 14, the first appearance of Gambit. Yes, this is Gambit's first appearance due to printing times, but 266 is the book to get. It is much more pricey than this one, but this is still a really great pickup. But Gambit not being on the cover and it being an annual definitely hurts the value of this book. Moving on to some Wolverine. You saw this book in the beginning, the first solo Wolverine book, the Frank Miller limited series from 1980? 81, something like that. Early 80s, late Bronze Age. A newsstand copy, not that it matters too much from that time period, but, just absolute classic book. The whole limited series was in there, but I figured I'd just show off the number one. And speaking of Wolverine number ones, when you have that one, you usually have this one too. Wolverine ongoing number one. This is 1980. And you know what? No, this is 1988. What am I saying? This is 80. Is this 80 or 84? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. This is 1988, the ongoing Wolverine run. This is the one that went through, the pretty much the entirety of the late 80s and early 90s. First appearance of Wolverine in the patch persona and this great cover here. A lot of people do like this cover better than the previous book. I've spoken with a couple people recently that have said this is the better cover. I personally like the Miller book a little bit better. Then we've got a really classic cover right here. Wolverine number 8, the first appearance, not the first appearance, but, we got the classic cover of Joe Fixit and Wolverine in these suits. That's, Buscema cover, and people love this. People love it. In fact, I just sold this book on Wednesday in my claim sale, so now I've got another copy up for grabs. Then we got a book that has been hot recently, Wolverine number 88, and I was lucky because this Wolverine run only went into the 90s, into the issue number 90s, so it almost ended before this book right here. But Wolverine number 88, this is the first meeting of Wolverine and Deadpool. It's got both them on the cover, and obviously the reason that this book has been hot recently is due to the Deadpool 3 trailers, and not trailers as much as what's it called, the leaked set footage and photos that we've seen. Obviously things are on pause with that movie a little bit right now while there's discussions amongst the SAG and the Writers Guild, but hopefully that does get worked out soon, and the creators and the actors can get paid what they are due by these corporations, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, moving on to the only DC book that I pulled. There might have been 20 or less DC books in total. Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe like 30 DC books in total. This was the only one that made the cut for the top 25 books. Batman, The Killing Joke. You know what it is. Classic Joker story. Awesome cover. We got Alan Moore doing the writing that he became famous for in the late 80s, the dark stuff. We got Brian Boland artwork. Iconic cover that's been homaged a billion times. All that stuff. This is it's a good one. And that's a first print, by the way. That green writing, it does make that the first print. It's got some condition issues. It's not a 9.8 contender. Neither is this, but this was a pretty cool find. Aliens number 1, first appearance of the aliens in comic books, and this is the first printing. It actually had the whole 6-issue miniseries first printing and the 4-issue second miniseries all first printing as well. So I was happy to find that. And what goes with Aliens really nicely? Well, how about boom, first printing of Predators, also from Dark Horse Comics. They own the rights to both of these, and they did a Aliens vs. Predator collab as well. Those two books really go hand in hand. It's tough to find high-grade first printings. Now, unfortunately, the Aliens book has some issues, but the Predator book, that is really, really sharp. On to the last book before we do the two best ones. We saved the two best ones for last. But I'm going to show you this right here. Another Dark Horse book. This is Star Wars Jedi vs. Sith number 1. This is the first appearance of Darth Bane. Not Cad Bane. Darth Bane. Different character. But a lot of people have speculated that they're going to keep pulling from the comics as they have been. And this is a character that could totally show up at some point. This book is actually really pricey. I think it was like an early 2000s. This would have been mid to late 90s. So the comic boom and crash had already happened. Lower print run book. It's by an indie publisher. So this book is tougher to find. I might end up getting this one graded. It might be worth it. I got to look it over again. But if not, it will be up for grabs for any of you Star Wars speculators. On to the last two books, the best two in the bunch. You might have been able to predict what they are by what other books we're seeing throughout this video. We got New Mutants number 98. This is the first appearance of Deadpool. Not much more to say about that. Deadpool has exploded in popularity over the last, 10 or so years due to Ryan Reynolds' portrayal in the movies. Now getting a third movie to complete the trilogy and the character coming to the MCU officially. And personally, I hope that he is here to stay in the MCU. He is the perfect comic relief character who does it in like a non-corny way that people really find funny. So I'm very excited about that. We're getting an R-rated MCU movie with Deadpool, and it seems like it has a really cool plot given that what we know about it already. But this is actually a pretty sharp copy. I have to look it over once again. But I'm thinking that this could, this is certainly going to press out to be in the 9s somewhere. Whether I can get it all the way to that 9.8, maybe. But I think there is a color-breaking spine ticker too, so it might only top out at that 9.4, 9.6. We'll see. I'm going to think about sending this in, but I might end up selling it raw. This next one I am definitely selling raw. Due to the condition, but it is, in my opinion, the best book in the bunch. Amazing Spider-Man 300, Todd McFarlane goodness, milestone issue. And did I mention the first appearance of Venom? First full appearance of Venom. I know there are those $2.99 fans out there that will stand by that one, but we'll call this the first full appearance because that is what's recognized by, the powers that be, if you will. Yeah, like I said, the condition's a little bit of an issue. There is a little stain down on the bottom where the Spidey head is. I did mention that, I think that the some of the Spider-Man books may have been in a moist environment at some point because I noticed some rippling of the pages. Some of them had rust. Fortunately, this one does not have rust on it. This just has a little bit of a stain. So yeah, I'm gonna figure out exactly where I put this grade-wise and give it a price. But it is going to be sold raw. This is not going to CGC. I do have 2 copies of this book that are going to CGC as soon as I have time to actually send stuff to CGC. I have been busy. Like I said, I took a few weeks off before doing this video, and it was really, honestly, mostly working on selling stuff because I've had some unfortunate life expenses recently. So if you're around tonight, come to the claim sale, 8 p.m. tonight on Instagram. I'm going to be selling all these books, I think. I'm going to try to get all these priced up, and more will be available. Yeah, we'll keep it rolling. Silver Age, Golden Age, Bronze Age, Modern, variant covers, slabs, whatever you want. I gotta pay for some life expenses. So with that, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate your time. Tell me what you thought about this collection. Give it a thumbs up for a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, so you can enter the giveaway. And yeah, until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.